All right, welcome everybody. Hope everyone enjoyed the content yesterday. Today we're going to have a private investor panel early this morning. We're going to have a rescue capital panel later today. A lot of the deals getting done are either distressed or lending deals, et cetera. We're also going to have a $100 million rainmaker panel, so people who have raised $100 million and hearing from them on stage. I know Alan was on a panel yesterday, and I enjoyed some of his comments. He's going to be giving a standalone today. And I wanted just to go through one or two slides real quick on investment structures, and I touch a little bit on this in my closing remarks tomorrow, so I won't take too long, and we'll jump right into the content for the day to get going. Okay, so as mentioned yesterday, one of the most overlooked things is how to structure deals. This company, Better Bath, Better Body, just closed a $400,000 investment from one of the investors here in the club, and they did it through a unique gross revenue royalty structure that I don't think would have gotten done without being open-minded and creative. The investor came back to make a second investment, wanted to tweak the structure, and it was the ability for the CEO here to be open-minded that got the deal done, because the investor had a request that they had never dealt with before, and they thought about it and just found common ground in the middle, found a compromise approach, and got the deal done. So it's a real example of one that just closed last week. And as I mentioned yesterday when I opened the day, having a mindset that this is our offering and that's the only offering is a great way to make sure that 90% of people you talk to don't want to invest in what you're doing, because they may say, oh, well, we prefer debt. Well, we prefer equity. We prefer preferred return. We prefer gross revenue royalty, or we prefer direct investments instead of a fund, all these different things, and you may lose out on the biggest investor. And I've seen many times here in the club that one investor contact can sometimes fill all your capital needs for the next 2 to 4 years. But if you're closed-minded and say, oh, nope, you have to be an LP in my fund. We don't do direct investments. Nope, you can't do a JV. You can't do co-GP. Can't do this, that, or the other. Then you close that out because you're trying to stick to the rigid structure because you put so much money into this legal structure. But then the person who could have filled all of your capital needs, you've now turned away by being rigid. So I'd really encourage you to be open-minded. Entrepreneurs, probably you're an entrepreneur if you're here in the room, like to do things in creative ways, and you've made your way in this world by controlling your own destiny, by having an opinion on how we need to navigate the jungle. And so ignoring those ideas in other people's entrepreneurial brains is to your own detriment, I found. So the structure can often trump strategy. You can show me a pretty good strategy, but if there's a horrible structure around it, it makes the deal horrible. You could show me an average deal, but if you allow me to structure it, then it can make it excellent. And you could get the cash flow first, you could get collateral, you could get preferred returns, et cetera. So make sure and keep that in mind. If you're ahead by 1% in a race of raising capital, it can mean all the difference of getting all the capital, and the person in second place gets nothing, or third place or fourth place gets nothing perhaps. So that's important to keep in mind. All of us are trying to maximize the time we spend on things, and investors want to typically get moderate to very good returns, but they also want to watch their downside. Those who invest and made all their money in venture capital and early stage tech and seed capital, they have to think differently to survive in that part of our industry. But most investors we talk to, they're looking to hit, doubles. If sometimes they get a triple, great. Most investors I talk to are not trying to get home runs on every deal. They're not looking around the whole room seeing who's promising the highest IRR. They're seeing who they could trust the most and understand how value is added. And that's typically who they allocate to versus who's promising a 30% IRR. And many times if you offer too high of a return, even if you think you can get it, now they think you're either taking big risks, aren't acknowledging risks that could come up that are unknown risks right now, or that this is your first rodeo if you're promising the moon. So it's always better is to over-deliver. And if it sounds like you're way over-promising, you're not leaving any room to over-deliver. And some investors really cue in on that right away if they hear something that's too bold. Many people hear no before they get a deal done. Some investors I know will say no to just about everybody and then just see how people react. And if they still come back to them and politely persist and tell them why they really should do the deal, even though they just told them no, then those are the only deals they do. Most investors don't do that, but they do have to say no to most things coming at them. So it's really important just to keep that in mind and be politely persistent over time. We went over this yesterday. A few of you might have missed it. But to maximize your time here, try to add value to others first. Keep your mind open to someone not having a name badge that says family office, because many of the most valuable investors here in the room have a name that maybe doesn't say that they're a family office, even like Todd, who was on stage yesterday for the Centimillionaire fireside chat, or Larry Namer, who's doing a billionaire fireside chat with us tomorrow, are two great examples of that. Be concise, use a one-liner for describing what you do. That's why we did that great panel yesterday. And several investors said that was really helpful to them to see how other investors read into one-liners that they're reading in their inbox or over the phone. But also I think it's really helpful to anybody trying to make connections for your platform and grow your capital base, et cetera. Keep an eye out for different investment structures today, strategies, joint venture partners, peers you can keep in touch with, and different communication styles on stage that you could adapt and you could use to your benefit. And let us know if you need contact details for anybody you see on stage, if you have any feedback for our team. We're always trying to keep these events fast moving, exciting, and really productive for everybody. On stage today, we'll be asking all of the panelists, what they invest in, what they're focused on, what type of deals they're trying to structure and identify here in the room. Sometimes the people who are trying to make the most connections end up networking outside, and they miss all the investor mandates that are set right on stage. So especially if you're here with more than one person, make sure you both don't go outside to network, because you might miss the person who was the perfect connection for you out of 100+ speakers on stage over 3 days, because you're trying so hard to network out there. And we purposely ask every investor on stage what they're looking for, what they're investing in. So please keep that in mind. And we have over 1,000 recordings of investors in our portal from live events and one-on-one interviews saying exactly what they want to invest in. We uploaded 18 more investor mandate recordings just last week. So please keep that in mind, that the member portal has 1,000+ investors recorded saying what they like to invest in. You can make great connections through the portal in between the events. It's not just coming to the events where you can make these great connections. Last point is just out throughout the whole event, just look for different mental models you can take. Charles Munger says that all of us should have 100 mental models that we operate off of, like using choke points or brute force reciprocation, the different strategies we've talked about over time at our masterminds and at the events. And so you can learn these and glean these from people on stage and pick and choose and build your own custom set of mental models that you need to take to grow your platform, grow your business, or be a better investor or a better person at working with investors.
Join the Family Office Club by visiting familyoffices.com. We look forward to seeing you at our next live event.